Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaching Call podcast. On this podcast, we'll cover various types of coaching by trainers in sports, martial arts, fitness, and business. We'll discuss each coach's methods to getting the most out of their respective athletes or clients and how they attempt to change the platform in which they coach. Join us on a fun adventure as we discuss unique coaching styles. Coaching is a universal part of how we get others to get something done. Join your host, Rafael, and his guests on this unique journey in coaching.
Hi, I'm Sifu Rafael, and this is the Coaching Call podcast. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. This episode was made possible by listeners like you. Barby, thank you so much for joining me on Coaching Call. How are you this morning?
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate that. So you just bowed. Why'd you do that?
I don't know. because you do martial arts and that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You're talking to the leader.
It's actually a sign of respect. It depends on the culture, right? But it's also an acknowledgement, if you will. So
yes, and we do that. And I was born in Thailand, and so we do the same thing. Sawadika, hello. It's a way of saying hello and showing respect. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. So yeah, that's exactly what I want to talk to you about. You were born in Thailand. Tell me about why you were born in Thailand. And you don't look Taiwanese, right? So hang on a second. And then, so you were born in Thailand. Mm-hmm. Who influenced most before the age of 10?
Oh, goodness. My parents, my mom and dad. Okay. I was born in Thailand. So my sister and I were both born there. My parents were military. And I have an older brother, Jimmy, and he wanted a sister. And the doctors told my mom she couldn't have children after he was born. And so they adopted my sister. And a year later, I was born. But I was 10 months in the womb instead of 9 months in the womb. So I was born in a Thai hospital, and I was born with dual citizenship. And I actually am 2% Asian, so I do have a little sprinkled somewhere in my background. But and my mom actually looked more Asian than I do. But I think I took after my dad, and I definitely was a daddy's girl and did a lot of activities with my dad, although my mom was also influential, and she was also a leader. She was a colonel in the Army, and definitely gave me a lot of leadership skills and learning responsibility and time management and those types of things.
Interesting. Wow. So you considered the part of your heritage, you said 2%, right? Isn't there?
Yes.
When we think about different cultures, how does that affect your thinking, if you will, the way you even do things?
Well, I think just being born in another country affects the way I do things. I remember when I was 12, I had to go in front of a judge with my sister in Washington, D.C. and raise my right hand and swear to be a good American and give up my dual citizenship. And, really talking about that as a child, that we don't normally, most people that are born in the United States or in their own home country, they don't have to think about those things. It's just inherent. And for me, I had to think about it and had the conversation of, well, if I'm not allowed, back in the 70s, you weren't allowed to keep both. You had to choose one or the other. And I didn't want to go back to Thailand by myself. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to be here with my family. So this is, what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it. And most families don't have that conversation, and that, hey, our servicemen and women in the military give up their lives, and they have service and sacrifice. They give us freedom and liberty, and what that means. So I got to have that conversation. And growing up, we didn't talk about different races or religions. It was It was just people are human and everybody looks different. But that was like gifts from God, that we all look different, and that's what makes us special. And so, and how we tell each other apart, not necessarily, you know, you're Thai or you're Asian or you're American or that type of thing. It was everybody's a human. And so I got that perspective as a child.
Wow, that's incredible. It's very interesting when you said you raised your hand and you had to declare.
Yes.
I did that, but at 18, and I'm Colombian. I was born in Colombia, so I understand where you're coming from. But
Yes.
here's the crazy thing. At an early age, I came when I was 8, and my mom had become a citizen. And just because I was under 18, I could have automatically become a citizen. But when my mom said, you have to go to court with me or whatever, just to present myself, I refused because I was naive. So later on, it mattered to me. I said, you know what? Now I'm going to go do it. And I went through the whole process. Meanwhile, when I was young, I didn't have to do anything. I just had to show up and do it. So I had to study to become a citizen. And it taught me that when you want something, it's worth going for. And I think it was important that I didn't just accept it when it was a gift, because it made me realize that if I want something, I need to work for it. So, could I have taken the easy road? Yeah, but I never have in my whole life. And sometimes I think it teaches us adversity, and also teaches us how to really value things.
Yes, absolutely. And it showed me that there was a process to life and living. And, I believe in God. And so I believe that we have inherited rights and freedoms that God gave us, but we also have to work within society, and that there's certain benefits depending on which route you choose and where you put yourself, and that we have these choices. And so it's also an earthly thing that we put ourselves through and choose, I'm going to belong here. And just like, we have a family that we grow up with, but then when we get married, we cleave to our spouse, and our family that we knew, and that one solid rock becomes our extended family, and our family becomes our new spouse. And if you have children or pets or anything, that becomes your family, and your friends become your family. And so you create a new family, and we continue to do that. And we have those choices. And so it's part of that growing and learning process about humanity.
It's very interesting because you just brought something up that I've spoken a lot about, and it's family. And we don't choose our family. We don't choose which family we're born into, but we can choose the family that we coincide with.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that people forget that sometimes, or they, I still, both of my parents are passed away, and my father-in-law has passed away, but it's something that you see as you're going through life is, this is important, but so is this new family I made, or so are these new friends. And I remember I was a Girl Scout as a child. I went from, they have different levels of Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, or they used to, I'm not sure how it is right now, but we had like brownies and Girl Scouts and cadets, and a cadet is equal to an Eagle Scout. So I went from brownies all the way through to the top level of Girl Scouts. And we would sing, make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other's gold. And remembering that and saying, okay, we need to value our friendships, and we need to cultivate them. And just because you have a new friend doesn't mean you let go of your old friend, but recognizing that you need to continue to grow. And that's part of being a part of society, and, moving forward, and remembering those types of little ditties that are instilled as children, that we grow up and and use those same skills when we become an adult. And really the things that we need as an adult to function in society, we're learning as children, but some of us don't always put it together into making it something that can be beneficial for ourselves and society.
Yeah, without
So
a doubt.
being conscious of that.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you just brought, you sang a song about friendship. And wouldn't it be awesome if everybody knew that song? Because it's great to make new friends, but
Yes,
also to cherish the ones you already have. And I always
absolutely.
say there's a difference with, I always say I have acquaintances,
Yeah,
I have friends, and I have allies. So there's three levels, right? An acquaintance is somebody I say hi to on a regular basis. How are you? A friend is somebody that maybe we go eat and we go hang out and stuff of that nature. But an ally is somebody who's not going to lie to you and tell you the truth, even when you don't want to hear it, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great way of putting it all. So yeah, it really does. It helps you using the tools, resources, and having the right people around you, and knowing that, hey, I can go to this person for this situation or that person for that situation. They can come to me for this situation. And we all have different talents and gifts is really important.
It is. It is. So I guess that's why it's so common nice to hear you need a circle, a sphere of five most important people in your life. But that doesn't mean that we only have five people we know, right?
Exactly. Absolutely. And if you only stuck to five people in your life, you wouldn't really be able to experience the things of this earth to the fullest. And so expanding and figuring out, not everybody, as you said, there's your three circles. Not everybody's going to have the same access to you and your core, but you still have to have these people in your life, and you need to be that person in their life so that they also have resources. And that's how we help each other. It's how we help humanity and society function, and that people can live their best life and make a difference here on earth.
Yeah, without a doubt. So let's consider, you talked about your parents were your biggest influence. And of course, they were in the military. Your mom was a colonel.
Yes.
And do you recall any specific lessons that has shaped you today?
Specific advice. My dad, when I was 4, I told my dad I was going to be a cheerleader the rest of my life. I saw cheerleaders down on the field he took me to a soccer game. It was the DC Diplomats. It was a soccer game, and there was cheerleaders down there performing. And I said, I loved that they could command the crowd to do things, and we would just all jump up and be like, yeah, and cheer them with them. And I didn't really get the full aspect of it. I just thought it was neat that they were leading us, and I wanted to do that. I wanted to be a leader. I wanted to help command the crowd to do good things and cheer the team to and through whatever they were facing. And so he said, you can't do that the rest of your life. And I was like, yes, I can. I think it's my purpose from God at 4. And he was like, no, okay. All kids want to do something when they grow up. And then when I was 12, we revisited the conversation, and Dad, I'm going to be a cheerleader the rest of my life. I've told you this my whole life. And he's like, no, you got to do something. And then it's time to go to college. And he was like, I said, I'm going to major in dance. And he said, no, you're not. You got to do something else. You have to really study something and become an expert of it. So I looked at all of the options, and I chose social psychology, which really was a perfect fit for me, because as soon as I cheered all the way through college, and then as soon as I left college, the next week after college, I started my own cheer and dance training company. And the skills that I learned in social psychology, I got to use in running a business. And I also got to use in the year after I was hired as the first head cheer and dance coach at Washington State University, So I got to take those skills that I learned with my degree in social psychology and the study of how you can get the best and worst out of individuals in a group, and use that in my coaching. So that was the best advice, was no, don't just be a cheerleader. You can be more than one thing. You have to really have an expertise and skill in something besides cheerleading, which, 8 years later, I was in a car accident, developed a rare disease. Well, I had the rare disease, but the symptoms started after the accident, and I had something else to fall back on. So I went from being a physical cheerleader, leading the crowd, to becoming a mental cheerleader and leading people to and through things on a emotional and psychological level, which I was doing all along, but I wasn't visualizing it in that way. So I was able to adapt and learn there's another way to do things. And even with the same skill set. So I had to reframe my thinking and use it in this new chapter of life.
Wow, that's incredible. And great advice, because, and even anybody who is a natural athlete and they think they want to be a baseball player, football player, soccer player, swimmer, whatever, because let's say you are successful in those things. Let's say you become a professional athlete. No professional athlete stays a professional athlete for the rest of their lives. So what do we do once that 10, 15 years is over? Your life is over. You still have to continue to progress, not mentally, but I think in a business way, to keep being an athlete, right? Because I think business is an athletic endeavor, if you will, right?
Absolutely. You have to have endurance, and you have to train for the sprints and the projects and programs that you're going through. So it absolutely is like being an athlete in another way. And so if you don't take those life skills that you learn as a child through the lessons you learn in school, and if you did extracurricular activities, whether it was band or cheerleading or choir or Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, take those skills and apply them to adulthood. That's what they were prepping us for, and putting us into those opportunities, really.
Yeah, exactly. So your dad gave you great advice. Who besides your parents would you say that helped with where you are today along the way?
My high school cheer coach, she would tell us, no deposit, no return. Life is like a bank. And you whatever you put into the activity that you're doing is what you can get back out. So just like when in adulting, we have a job or we have a business, and whatever you put in, you get paid for your efforts, and you take that and you live life with it. And so whatever you put in is what you can take out. And I thought that I was going to go the rest of my life with that. And I knew I was going to work hard, and I was going to be dedicated and focused and keep moving forward. And I did it in cheerleading and dance, and I was going to do the same thing in life and adulting. And then I got a rare disease, and my world shattered. I went from the top of my field, top 5 coaches in the country, top 5 athletes on competition level. And I went from that to losing everything. I lost my ability to drive and to work and to function. And I was bedbound and wheelchair bound for about 7 years, where I was really struggling. There was days I thought, I will die today, just from the sheer amount of pain that I was feeling. And I had to pick up life and recreate life and give it a whole new purpose, meaning, and find a new way to move forward. And in doing that, I realized that when you have a rare disease or a chronic illness, you get, I'd say 12 pennies a day for your bank. You don't get unlimited amounts. You don't have to think about, what am I going to put in? What am I going to take out? What you put in is what you can take out. All of a sudden, you don't have that. You have 12 pennies and you have to decide how you're going to spend them each day. And, a shower is 3 pennies, and cooking is 2 pennies, and going to a doctor's appointment could be 4 pennies if it's really invasive. So, you really have to choose how you're going to spend your energy. I call it energy pennies, how you're going to spend them wisely, and make sure, because once you have that chronic illness, it's very difficult to bank energy pennies for the next day. You got your pennies for today, and that's all you get to spend. And now you have to look at tomorrow. How am I going to spend my pennies tomorrow? I really wanted to get the house cleaned, or I wanted to go to my nephew's birthday party, or whatever it is, and really focusing on, where you're going. So I'd say my high school coach probably was my best coach of all the coaches that I've had over the years. And I was able to take what she taught me and adapt it to my new situation, which I think is important.
That's incredible. So let me ask you, you talked about 12 pennies, right?
Yes.
And with inflation, it's probably $12 now.
Right. They don't go as far.
And even the $12 don't go far, because sometimes even breakfast costs more than that, right?
Exactly. Oh,
it's crazy, the amount of money. I took my fiance to breakfast, and we went to a really nice place, and it was $63 for 2 of us.
Ouch.
I was like, wow, I don't remember it being that expensive for breakfast. I said, okay,
Right.
but we had a great time. So I can't take away from the time that we had, but I'm like, wow, could we had stayed at home and made a better breakfast? Absolutely. But it was also nice going out. So when
Right.
you
It was the atmosphere. It's the whole package
right.
of participation. It's not just, oh, I saved this money at home. Like I say I'm a extreme time saver. I try to look at a situation and go, how can I do the best I can do in this situation, as well as save energy and time. And so it's something that I've had to, because of rare disease, I've had to change my life and how I approach it, and everyday activities that I didn't even have to think about before, I have to pay attention to.
Incredible. So when we're thinking about banking, right, because kind of like
Yes.
we're going in that direction. So
Yep.
banking, I think you're right. And the most effective way is not about the finances. It's more about the time, which is way more valuable.
Yes. I say life experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I went through with all my health situation, I had a near-death experience. And in that near-death experience, I saw my life, and it was 1,000 pictures. It's undescribable, but this is the best way I can describe it. It was like 1,000 pictures with 1,000 words for every picture, all at the same time. But I could understand everything individually. So, but what I saw from that was that the thing that matters is human connection, and on Earth, and having the life experiences. You don't know when you hold the door for somebody, they could have been having a horrible time. They could have been contemplating, nobody on this earth likes me. Why am I here? Type of situations. And you just change their mind. A smile, even in your worst times. My dad would ask me, how do you smile when your team is losing 50-0? There's no way you're going to come back in this game. How are you down there cheering and smiling and performing? And I say practice. And I think that doing that as an adult, smiling at other people and saying, how are you? And hello and namaste, and connecting with people has been so much more important than we give credit to, because we are worried about those financial situations and the actual pennies instead of the energy pennies. But when you really look at life and you focus on what's the experience, what is the life lesson, what am I learning, what am I passing on, and really understanding that as we move forward through a society that takes money to get through, to have some of these experiences, it helps you process and get the most out of those moments when you do go for the expensive breakfast, or something that doesn't cost as much, like a trip to the park. You still have to have the resources to get to the park. So it's still costing you something to go to the park, and recognizing that and saying, okay, how am I going to spend my energy? How am I going to spend my actual money? And how do we move forward so that each moment can be the best? And I think that that's another thing. Like I said, I saw all of these images at once. And one of the things that it taught me is life is not time as we see it as a normal society sees a 24-hour clock. And now they're saying that our days are going to get longer because the Earth's core was slowing down and now it's spinning the other direction. So our days are going to get longer, and we're soon, I don't know how soon, maybe in 200 years, but we're going to have a 25-hour day instead of a 24-hour day. I don't look at it in those types of 1 hour, 2 hour, 5 hour. Whenever possible, I try to look at things as moments. And in this moment, I get to do this project or program or thing, or to create a tool or whatever it is. And sometimes the moments last longer, sometimes they're shorter, but be in that moment and make it the best moment that it can be. And so instead of saying, oh, I got 24 hours, how am I going to break it up? I say, okay, I get to participate in this, and how do I make it the best it can be? And sometimes moments are bad, but that shows us how good the good moments are. And and so moving through moments instead of moving through hours is something else that I've learned along the way.
It's the positivity that you see in all things. I love your way of thinking, and probably, and maybe not everybody has gone through your experience, and I think that your experience has helped you think differently. Myself, I tell people I have more lives than a cat because I've almost died that many times, right? I've been in a coma. When I was a little kid, I never had 1,000 pictures with 1,000 words attached.
No,
So I can't tell you that, but I've survived so many near-death experiences, and some I was in a coma for three weeks. But for me, I don't remember anything on that aspect. But
you
the
don't remember.
no, I remember before I was out, and the minute I was leaving the hospital. I think I was 3 years old or so.
Okay.
But for me, it's always been about opportunity, because I've been given another opportunity. So every morning, first thing I do is I don't set an alarm. I just wake up because I put the intention that I want to be up early. I want to be able to do things. And so I know that God wakes me up and he says, go. And so I don't procrastinate. I'm going. And immediately I start praying. And then the next thing after my prayers, I thank him for the gifts he's given me. And then I thank him for the opportunity that he's given me to share them with the world. And time is one of the most important aspects that we have, and we both understand that. So I want to thank you for taking your valuable time to spend it with me today. So I want to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You've had great advice along the way. People have poured onto you, but it seems that you did not allow that advice to go unanswered in a way, because you did what was given to you, but you're also pouring it into others. Tell me about when that started happening for you.
It started happening soon after that near-death experience, and seeing that human connection is the only thing that actually matters, and that for me, I took life for granted, and I did all the hard things. I worked hard as a child, and being an athlete and being a pro athlete, I worked hard, but I took life for granted, and seeing all of a sudden that it could all be gone in an instant, and that time is relative. We don't know, tomorrow's promised to nobody, and do our best today, because that's what we have is today. And in the process of developing the rare disease and changing my life, I saw that we have to have grace and we have to have patience. And so, and teaching me grace and patience and accepting that, let go of the guilt of not getting your desk cleared by the end of the day, or having to take naps because you're just exhausted.
Right.
It's giving yourself that grace and that patience, and knowing that we're all on earth and we all have a different purpose, but we all make the same picture. We're all part of the same puzzle, and we're all a piece. And every piece doesn't have to connect to every piece. They're not designed to do that.
Right.
But we're designed to make a big human picture. And so seeing that has given me the grace to say, okay, I'm going to be patient, and this might not be my person, but I can teach them because it will help them create their puzzle piece up here when I'm over here. And together we make a society and humanity to move forward. And so we all don't have to agree. We all don't have to see the same situation the same way. We all don't have to accomplish the same goals or the same way. So having patience and grace developed out of the near-death experience. And that has been something that has stuck with me all these years, because that near-death experience happened in 2003. So it's been, 21 years, and I still have that remembrance and feeling to my core as to what I went through and what I was supposed to learn. So continuing to pass that on and giving other people the grace and patience to understand. But that doesn't mean I'm just going to get, slapped down or hurt or taken advantage of in the process. My patience does end at a point. If you are continuing to devalue time and energy, then you're a puzzle piece that doesn't fit with my puzzle piece, and I have to move on. And I'm looking to find those pieces around me to make our picture the best it can be, so that the whole picture can be the best that can be.
Yeah, I love that. In understanding that you almost died and you had this disease, which you still have, right?
Yeah, I still have it, but I found ways to manage it.
That's beautiful. Because a lot of times people have something and they don't know how to manage it. So finding a way to manage it, I think is a key ingredient that you use, right?
Yes, absolutely. And when something seems so challenging, if you break it down into smaller pieces and you really look at the core and what is this about? What is the purpose? Why am I doing it? What is the end goal? Am I stuck in a rut of I've been doing this for 5 years and this is the way I do it? Or do I change it up and make it better? Is there something new coming down the pipeline? There's constantly new things being created. And I see myself as a creator as well. But there's constantly new things coming. So when you see yourself getting stuck, what can you do? You can reevaluate and look at the situation and say, okay, how do I move forward? How do I get to Z, to the end goal? It's not necessarily going to be a straight line. It's going to be ugly sometimes, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to be challenging, and embracing that and saying, okay, now I'm in this challenging time. What can I do to break it down into smaller pieces? Accomplish those smaller pieces as you can, and then see what's left over. And don't forget to ask for help. We're here on Earth with 7 billion plus other people. Ask for help, reach out, seek it, because there is help out there for the things that we can't do, but be responsible for the things that we can do.
I love that you said we need to ask for help, but here's the thing, right? A lot of people will ask for help, and they may be asking the wrong people.
Absolutely.
Therefore, we have to constantly ask for help, and the right people will appear. But a lot of people, they give up so quickly. Or listen, the light bulb, 10,000 tries. Can you imagine if he gave up after 1,000?
Right. That comes the patience. That's the patience that I speak of is you may not get it right on the first try. I just recently ran for state representative. You can see my sign behind me.
Yeah.
And I have worked on legislation. I've worked on over 100 bills. I've written 7, 2 are now law. And I did that as a civilian without even being a legislator, but I learned how to do it because I knew that there needed to be change. And that's the process. So I learned the process and found my way through it. But some people would just quit. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to rerun in the future because I believe that I didn't know how to be a candidate. I learned a lot, and my husband was there with me every step of the way, and we were able to learn the process and how to be a candidate. So when we start my next campaign in a few months, which will be, I had 7 months to run for office, where my competitors had 2 years to prepare and prep, and some of them had done it before. For me, I was learning as I went. Now I know. Now I'm starting the next campaign with more knowledge and patience to move forward in that process. You don't always win the first time you try something. It's great when you do, and it's great when that happens, but you have to say, okay, if it's a team you want to get on, or a certain job that you want to see yourself, you see yourself in this job and it's that thing that you're supposed to be doing and it's part of your purpose, figuring out the smaller steps and moving towards it again. Keep moving forward and figuring out, what am I supposed to be doing? There's more than one way to accomplish it. So maybe it's not that I'm supposed to be a legislator. Maybe it's that I'm supposed to be a civilian working on legislation, which I've already mastered. Now I'm pushing myself a little bit to move forward. But in that process, the campaigning aspects of it were not my forte. I'm good at branding, but I'm not good at marketing. So I need to work at the marketing and making sure people know about the product and know about who I am, what my skills are, what I bring to the table. And I think that if each of us do that in the areas that we can serve best to our communities and to society, the better off we'll all be. So not giving up and breaking it down into smaller pieces. Where do I need help? I had to learn how to become a candidate, and it took me, my husband, and people we met along the way to help propel me forward to even get one vote. But I got more than one vote, but to be able to succeed in becoming a candidate. And now I know what I'm doing better. We can make a better plan. We broke it down into bite-sized pieces, asked for the help as we were going through. Sometimes we asked the right person. Sometimes we asked the wrong person. But now we have a network in place, and we can use that and have 2 years to build to have a better chance at winning that spot, that seat, because I think it would be a lot easier if I was in that seat to do what I'm doing. But I'm not going to stop working on legislation just because I don't have a seat at the table. I'm going to continue doing what I was doing because it was helping humanity.
That's incredible. I mean, when we think even about athletes, think of Michael Jordan. Everybody understands how incredible the man was, but how many shots did he miss?
Right.
How many rebounds did he not get? So we have to look at every aspect that we don't quit, and the ones that shine are the ones that stay in the game. But the minute you come out of it, and what's he doing?
Yeah.
I love the fact that you said, yes, I did not win, but I learned so much. And we need to, that's a win, by the way. So you did win, right?
I did win. I just don't have a seat at the table.
Right. That's okay. That's okay. So sometimes you have to create your own seat, right?
Yes,
like you're
absolutely. Doing. And that's why, in 2009, I was asked to work on a piece of legislation for Arizona for step therapy. Fail first. It's just odd. But again, you have to fail first before you can move on. Well, I was trying to get legislation to stop failing first and move right into the into the wins. And I've had a lot of wins over the years, but we don't win every single time. And when we don't win getting a bill over the finish line, and I've worked in 36 different states on legislation. So even if you don't get a bill through the first time, you have to learn and understand the process, and then you'll get the win. In California, it usually takes about 2 to 3 years to get a bill from idea to law. In Arizona, I've done it in 3 months. So it's literally something that you have to know where what your boundaries are in your community, and then you have to try to push past your boundaries so that you can see, is this boundary self-made? Is this boundary society-made? Is this boundary a law that needs to change? And work towards that and be paying attention to it. But it's not all going to be easy, and take what you learn and make it a win.
Absolutely. It's very interesting. And some of the greatest speeches that I've seen are by politicians. And lately, I've been seeing a lot of celebrities do some great speeches too. And of course, everything is rehearsed, but it's the words that are used. It's the way we communicate. I'd love to share this with you and everybody else. Take a look.
Welcome to Speaking Prowess, where we believe in the power of communication to transform lives. If you're ready to take your communication skills to the next level, we have a lineup of some of the most influential communication experts in the industry. These are the voices that will guide you on a journey to enhance your ability to connect, influence, and succeed. At Speaking Prowess, our mission is clear: to empower you through effective communication. We know that mastering the art of communication isn't just about what you say. It's about how you say it and the impact it has on every aspect of your life. So take action now and get ready to embark on a journey towards personal and professional growth.
Love the visual images in there,
Thank
especially the boy in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
and practicing. And I do that. And I'll do speeches and practice in front of my husband, and also I saw an evolution in, I have done a lot of motivational speeches, and I've done a lot of public speaking and speaking on healthcare topics, but I had never done political campaign speech type things. But a couple of years ago, when on one of the bills that I had written, it was going through, and a senator asked me to write her floor speech. So I have experience on writing a floor speech for a senator. So when you're like, they write such good speeches, we don't just wake up one day and go, oh, this is the speech. It took time, and it took practice, and it took making mistakes. And I went through that same, duckling. I'm going to see myself as a duck on the water. You're smooth and you're riding through, but underneath you're paddling really hard. I was a little duckling back in January of this year when it came to political speeches and getting up, and it's like, well, what do I talk about? And I went up with keywords written on a piece of paper of things that I thought the audience would like to hear. And as I went through and I started getting questions from different audiences, I started honing in on my speech and figuring out what I needed and how to present it and the best, most impactful way to present it. And even though I had been giving speeches for over 20 years and coaching, it didn't matter. I still had a new topic. Like I said, I didn't know how to be a candidate. I still had to learn and practice a new way of getting up and speaking and making sure that I had the right message for the right people that I was in front of.
It leads me to this next question, which is really what may be on a lot of people's minds when it comes to politicians. How do we build trust as a politician? Because we've seen so many politicians basically, well, let's say it, lie, tell things that are not 100% true, or change the truth in their favor. So how do you learn for your campaign coming up, to be that person and not trash someone else while building yourself up, right?
Yes. So my brother is a politician in Virginia. And so I got the benefit of him running for office and asking questions to him of what did you do? And Arizona is so different than Virginia on the political level. But I saw the lying, I saw the trash, I saw people trying to dig into my past, trying to find something. And I don't drink, I don't do drugs. I'm pretty wholesome. I do cuss at night. I try not to cuss too often, but I do say some cuss words sometimes when the situation calls for it. But there wasn't anything that they could dig up like that could be held against me. I try to live in God's light, but I'm not perfect. But just because I'm not perfect doesn't mean that you can use it against me. So I had people actually ask me, "What have you done wrong? What can other people use against you?" And I was like, I don't get along with my sister-in-law. And they're like, no, we want like real dirt. Like everybody has one person in their family they don't get along with. What's the dirt? And I'm like, I don't know. I tried to live a different life. And so in having that authenticity has helped me. But my brother in this situation, my brother gave me the best advice. And he said, don't talk bad about your opponents. And there were 6 people running for 2 seats in my race. And there was things that my first debate, were up on stage and they're like throwing shots at each other. And we sat alphabetically. So I'm in the center and I'm just like looking to my left and looking to my right and going, oh, wow. Like they're not answering the question. The moderator would ask a question and then we each got our time to answer. And I'm sitting there like writing down keywords and making sure I'm getting my points organized. So when I stand up to speak, I sound, professional and speak my truth. And they're shooting shots at each other back and forth during their time and not answering the questions. And I'm just thinking, wow, they're exactly what you're talking about. They're saying this stuff to each other and trying to tear each other down. I ran a campaign, and when I do this again, I will do the same thing. I'm not going to tear down my opponent. They're going to spill the beans on all of their weaknesses and everything else in the things that they're tearing down in the other people up on the panel, that the other people. So they're sharing all of that and tearing each other down. There's no need for me to do it. I can say, here's the things that I've done and focus on the positives. And when it comes to being a legislator, it doesn't matter if you don't get along with your sister-in-law. It matters if you know how to write legislation and bring it forward. And the two people who won the seats, both have been legislators in the past. So you think that would help them write legislation. But as a legislator, you're also passing other people's legislation. So you have to be good at researching. And I've done that. As a civilian, I've had to research law. And so I got to talk about all the things that I was able to do and be a part of as a regular, everyday citizen of our community. And I believe you don't have to tear somebody down. You don't have to do the untruths and the lies. You can run a clean campaign. Doesn't mean you're going to win, but in showing that light, it actually shows other people's areas that they need to work on. And so I can say, here's the things I know how to do. Here's the things I need to work on. And that's how I approached it. And that's how I will continue to approach it, and let them shoot shots at each other while I sit and talk about the actual issues, and hopefully those get addressed. And even though I didn't win, I did have one of the two that won a seat say, hey, I know what you were planning on doing was really important, and I'd like to help in those areas over the next 2 years. So people will still I was still heard, and people will still be heard moving forward. Hopefully they follow through, and we'll see over the next 2 years if they follow through in that. But I want to stay involved and keep moving forward to get the win, because it's a lot easier to sponsor your own bills in your community's ideas as the legislator than it is to bring them from civilian to the legislator and talk them into running it. I already know these are the pain points in these different areas of life, whether it be transportation or education or energy independence or whatever it is. I already have ideas in all these different areas, and I know how to write a piece of legislation and do the research and write the law. So I will continue to do that. But you do have to sit and watch. If you're watching a forum or a debate, what are they saying? Are they actually answering the questions with ideas, or, oh, I don't know about that, I will look into it? Or are they saying Jeffrey's bad or Susie's wrong or whatever it is that they're throwing out and not answering the question? That's an answer in itself. So pay attention to those cues and see what's happening.
I think that's an important aspect, not only to see how they answer, but their body language, right? Because I do run a communication center and online and in person. And I think that the cues are not just the verbals, but it's body language, is even the way they act after they have spoken. And I mean, listen, we're in a place right now where a lot of people are not happy with what's going on in the government. We're in a place right now where people are not even happy with the election that's coming. But we can't please everybody. So whoever becomes our next president, how should we act once that decision is final? How do we act once they're elected into office come January? How do we as citizens of this incredible country behave to say, hey, maybe we're not happy with this choice.
Right.
Maybe we voted for the other one. I don't really get into politic talks, but how do we behave? Whoa, there goes my camera. How do we behave as individuals so that we can force the change in our own community?
I would say that it's important on a worldly level who the president is, and that matters. But a lot of politics is local level, and get involved. You know, you don't have to go in mad and angry. You can go in and say, hey, I have a pain point. Listen, I have this idea, you know, when I was calling people, I'll give you an example because that's the best way to share. But it's, for me, the person I called, hi, I'm Barbie. I want to tell you about myself. Do you have any pain points? Asking, you know, having that two-way communication. And they said, you know, on my street, it was a gravel road and then they paved it, but it's still supposed to be a side street, not a through street. And people go down and the gate's closed and locked and they end up turning around in my driveway every single time. And I have this idea of how to fix the situation so people aren't using my driveway every single time to turn around. Instead of going out and cussing at the cars and you know, threatening the drivers and misbehaving on all levels of politics, step up and get involved. And the best place to start is in your local community, going to your school boards, going to your board of supervisor meetings, going to, if you're in a town or city that has a council, go to that town council meeting and listen to other people's pain points. If you have an idea, step up and say, hey, you know, Miss Susie talked about this and Mr. Johnny talked about this. Here's a solution that could work. Or everybody's turning around in my driveway and it's really bothering me. Here's a solution. If we repaint the lines and we do better signage, this can work. We need to do the same thing, but it happens at every single level, and understanding the levels of where, you know, the house holds the purse strings. You know, what is the role and job of your city council, of the school board? What do they actually get to decide? They have, in most of the meetings, they have a time period where citizens can get activated and get up and speak. write your speech down, go in and read it so you can help take some of that emotion of this is really affecting me and bothering me in life. And you're not just up there rambling. You get up and you read your speech and you're within the time limit and you're working within the laws that are now so that you can change the laws of the future to better work for you. And vote. If you want the person you want in, vote. And if as you said, there's a lot of people in the United States and there's a lot of people around the world. If you don't vote, you can't complain. If you don't vote, you can't go, oh, but I wanted this to happen. Well, did you do any actions to get into this position? Did you go vote? Well, maybe help promote the next time around, help promote that candidate that you thought was the better choice, because obviously their speeches didn't resonate with the people. Their actions didn't resonate with the people. And so if you think that they're the right candidate moving forward and they didn't win this time, help them win next time. Help share them and get activated yourself so that the right person in your eyes does win next time.
I love it. I love it. And great advice for anybody who wants to see a change, because it takes your vote, it takes your action, but also inaction is also an action, right?
It's part of it. Yeah. So if you didn't vote, don't complain. If you didn't vote, become activated. Hey, I really wanted to see this person win, and make sure that you're taking that forward in your actions. If you didn't vote, you can't say, well, that person should have won. Well, they could have won had you voted. I was at a convention to decide who gets to go to the national convention to be the representatives for Arizona. And someone lost by 7 votes. And all the people were like, oh, I wanted to give this other person a vote, so they didn't have no votes. So the person who they wanted to actually win didn't win by 7 votes because they gave their vote to somebody else. So it's really important to know, like, okay, if this is the person I want to win, I'm going to help cheer them through the finish line and put that action in, because it can come down. It can be very close, and most of the races are very, very close. So if you want your person to win, vote, number 1. Number 2, get activated. Whether your person wins or the other person wins, you still have a voice as a citizen. So use your voice and say, hey, this law needs to be changed, or times have changed. We need to get with the times. Or we've put too much burden and regulations on small businesses. How do we fix that? How do we get back to energy independence and making prices more affordable for society? And how do we do that? It takes us getting up and taking action, or we have inaction. And then when we go to the grocery store and eggs are $7 for 12 eggs instead of $2 for 12 eggs, we say, hey, this isn't right. Something's wrong. What do we do to fix this? And going to get activated, whether it's at the local level, the state level, the federal level, all of them play a different role in the different parts of society. It has to be a multi-pronged approach in recognizing that. And we don't have to be part of the solution in the multi-pronged approach. There's different people working on different areas. Find where you best fit, which for most of the people will be in their local community. What's my everyday life? How can I live my best everyday life? And how can the people around me live their best everyday life? And then as you get activated and involved, moving into that state level and moving into that federal level as to what is going on and where do you best fit.
Love it. Wow. Powerful. I just thought of a slogan for your next campaign.
Okay. I'll write it down. I got a pen and paper.
Activate it with Barby Ingle and vote today, right? Get activated with Barby. Right? Think about that.
Awesome.
You kept saying get activated. And from my mind, I kept hearing you get nothing unless you're in it. So I love the word activated. Become activated and vote.
Yes.
Become activated and vote for Barby.
That's right. There, I love it. Thank you.
Barby, this was really, really fascinating. Thank you for all the tidbits and your story and your triumph. Because, yes, you did not win the seat you wanted, but I think you won the hearts of the people who did vote for you. And therefore, the next time around, they will be there for you. And then you, along the way, you're going to activate more people's hearts to vote for you. So if I'm near you and I could vote for you, you know you have my vote.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time and energy. This has been a great experience. And I hope that you, your audience, and any future listeners are able to get something out of this that will work for them in their life.
Beautiful. Thank you again for today. Wow. I am blessed to know you now. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody, have an
Thank
amazing Barbie, I am thrilled that you made the time and that I got to know you today. So thank you for giving me a little bit more of who you are. And I hope that you'll come on other shows and we'll be able to activate you even more.
Thank you. And for everybody watching, go give this a 5-star review, and also listen to some of the past episodes, and remember to put an alert on to listen to the future episodes as they come out, because you can get a lot of information from being empowered, being a voice, but also listening. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Oh, thank you. All right, everybody, have an amazing rest of your day. Take care.